the Pioneer 620 millimeter. Got a few upgrades. First off, we got the wheels. They were 3D printed. I'll have to find out where I got them from because I want to shout the actual creator of them out in the description below. But I put them into Cura, shrunk them down, I think 80%, and actually printed them with 0 infill. They're completely hollow, very light. And then I printed some little pins here. It's kind of hard to see, but these little pins, let me shut this off. These little pins are like little sleeves that I 3D printed. They're kind of dirty right now, but basically this slides onto the stock gear for the plane. I could have cleaned the plastic up a little bit better. I just didn't really clean it up much. But anyway, you can see the tire, the wheel here, and then this fits right down into there perfectly. And then if you can see the inside there, just slides up on here, and it actually gotta really give it some pressure. Oh, there we go. It's on, and they don't really come off. They do a really good job. Also, I had ripped my rudder off in a crash, so I 3D printed these little control surface hinges, and I dropped just a push rod in there and bent it on both ends. This is what they look like. Here's some of them. They're still on here, but you can see there's one, and then you got, you put 2 of them together. The support plastic's kind of ugly, but they printed pretty well. Anyway, and then, so that's how I did these. I also used these for the ailerons. I'll show you here in just a second, but before we leave the rudder, I also broke the control horn for the rudder. So I found one of these somewhere on Thingiverse. I'll try to find the exact one. And yeah, just shrunk it down. I probably printed it a couple times till I got the exact size. But you can see it's pretty much exactly how it was before it broke. And the glue that I'm using is just standard. I got an old dart stuck in it right now. I usually put a screw or something. But anyway, just this clear Gorilla Glue. It may not be the best glue, but it's just what I have. And the biggest upgrade that I've done is that since this is more of a trainer plane, your ailerons are real close to the fuselage here. And well, I took, if you can tell how shiny they are, this is actually pretty smooth, and these holes here where the old horns used to be, and I glued these completely in place. They're pretty solid too. And the same over here. And then I bought some more push rods off of Amazon for, I don't know, maybe 10 bucks. Here's a whole bunch of them. I think they're 400 millimeter long, which was perfect for going out, having plenty I need, because the servo is literally right in here. And then there's, well, it's like right here, and then there's a rod that goes all the way down to right here. And anyway, I cut this out of the wing, and then I had to actually bevel inside of this part of the wing, so that way, because otherwise they were actually out like a little farther. I guess about it's hard to hold the camera and do it at the same time, about that much farther out. And I wanted them to be nice and flush with the wing, so I beveled that in so it still has plenty of movement on the control surfaces. I did that on both, and if we flip it over, you'll see that on the bottom here, there was already pretty much like a perfect trench here, and I just put tape over it on the underside. And if you've ever taken this plane apart, these rods, you can't really see it real well, but that's a rod, and it goes all the way into here, and then in the top right here there's a servo, and it just goes this way like this, and turns these rods. And that's how your ailerons work. And so very, very gently I peeled the glue back from these control strut or wing struts and here, and popped them off very carefully. Then took a razor blade without bending your wing, because you don't want to actually bend this, but very carefully you cut around this, but you don't want to go too deep right here, because right here there's actually, on this part of the wing, there's a lip that goes underneath here. So be very careful and just cut a little bit at a time. Patience is key. And you can go all the way underneath the underside, all the way down and around, and you can take this off really easy. I've taken it off twice already, actually. Anyways, yeah, so I plan on putting, I'll show you guys the ailerons. That's probably the most proudest feature on here. And also the ailerons too are held on the same way the rudder was. If you can see inside of there. 1, 2, and then let me see if I can show you that way. You really won't. But anyway, they're the same exact way. I really beveled that really nicely to make it kind of sit in there like that. But anyways, you can see the ailerons whenever I do this. Let's see. And so I want them to have a little more throw. So I'm actually going to go inside again. I'm going to cut this apart one more time and change the control horn to a longer control horn. I have a longer one, and what that's going to do is make the servo have more throw, and it's going to make these have more throw, because the idea is that this is a trainer plane, but it's also reasonably priced. So I thought to myself, you know, get it, learn how to fly. If you lose it or break it, it's not as bad as, you know, some other options out there. So instead of just now that I've kind of learned how to fly it, I wanted to upgrade, but I didn't know if I was ready yet. So instead of having the ailerons in closer, I wanted to have more roll, so I could kind of get used to that. And so that's why I moved these out, so I could kind of like progress on the same plane still. Truthfully, it does give me a little more roll, but not as much as I was expecting. And so that's why I'll probably extend the control horn there to give me a lot more throw there. Otherwise, though, it flies great still. Like I said, these are really solid. They're like pretty much still part of the wing now. I mean, I don't know if you can tell in the light because that clear Gorilla Glue. But it's actually pretty smooth. There's some air bubbles in there, not a big deal though. And then this Gorilla Glue that I got, it's kind of flimsy, so it kind of flexes almost in the same manner the wing does. What I want to do next though is I'm going to find a way to paint it. I'm concerned that the texture of this glue and the texture of the foam, I need to find a paint that's going to match both. Of course, I'm going to take the decals off, but I need to find a paint that's going to stick well to both of those. And I have a feeling maybe I'll have one that'll stick good to the glue and not the foam, and vice versa. So if you guys have any info on that, please put it down in the comments. But yeah, also I need to fix this one part here. It's not a big deal, but I really kind of scuffed up the foam here. I have to find some kind of foam filler. Also this motor mount, I've had to take it apart and rethread some of the screws because it was a little loose. It's still kind of loose, but not enough to talk about. And I haven't crashed it or anything since I did it, but I don't know. So what I did is I glued it all back with Gorilla Glue and also put the screws back in, and then put Gorilla Glue on the screws too to kind of help keep them threaded. And everything's been great. It may have been caused by a crash of mine. It might have been from this crash, but I just noticed the propeller was like, it didn't sound right. It was kind of wobbly. But it's all good now. That was a while back. That was way before I did any of the upgrades. So, yeah. So, there it is, folks. That's the Pioneer, Arrows Pioneer 620 millimeter. Great plane. I'll show you guys real fast, though, why I upgraded the wheels. So, these are the wheels that came on it. And this one looks okay. You can see this circle here. I'm about to explain what that is. So, this one really got chewed up and what it's from, and then plus they kind they're kind of wonky. I mean, you know, you can see they kind of wobble and kind of wonky. And me personally, I like to do takeoffs and landings, so I really want to have some good wheels. Anyway, what happens is these little plastic pieces right here, you can see how that one's close to the inside of the wheel there. If you're not careful, when the wheels spin, they'll eat up the wheels that come with it. And so, yeah, that's what caused that. But these wheels that I have here, they don't weight the plane down at all. Of course, you want this to be a pretty nose-heavy plane anyway. This is hard to do, holding the camera at the same time. But there is roughly my center of gravity there. I don't know if you can see it. That's roughly the center of gravity right under the wing struts. You know, I'm just balancing it now. It's a little nose heavy, but you know, a plane like this, you kind of want it a little nose heavy. I haven't had to trim the elevator or anything like that. It's actually flown remarkably perfect with the wheels on there. I did once try to upgrade a battery, and I can't even remember what it was because I ended up sending it back. It was just slightly bigger, and that was too much. It was basically just crashing dead. It crashed dead into the ground, basically. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's how that happened, honestly. That's probably how I ended up loosening up the motor mount. But anyway, again, this is the Pioneer 620. I may leave that tape. I might find something better. I was actually thinking of getting some small coffee straws and gluing them down in there, because the glue would help with supporting the wing more. And they don't really need much support, though. I mean, it's so solid. It really is, surprisingly. But some little coffee straws, and then I could slide my rods, my control rods, through those coffee straws. Right now, let me see if I can show you guys. Right now, there's a little play on the tape, but there's not enough resistance there to actually bother anything. Everything seems to be working fine. So, yeah, for what it is, and the amount of effort I've put in, which is not a whole lot of effort, but anyways, yeah, that's the Arrows Pioneer 620. Might do some more upgrades. If you guys have any info, or any questions or comments, concerns, ideas, just put them down in the comments below. Thanks, everybody.